All right, welcome. It's Joshua Ferris here with Joshua Ferris Real Estate Advisors here on the Central Coast. We're going to be talking about what we're seeing here on the Central Coast housing front, what we're seeing as far as interest rates, the trends for as far as new inventory and days on market, all that good stuff. And I'll give you my perspective as a local real estate broker working on the Central Coast for over a decade now. Give you some perspective as I'm working with investors, buyers, and sellers here in San Luis Obispo County. So if it's your first time or if you're coming back, please like and subscribe and share this video if you find it valuable. And well, let's just go ahead and get started. So as I've shared before, we're still in relatively low inventory times here on the Central Coast. This is a high demand area. A lot of people want to live here, especially as we're seeing kind of macro elements with the baby boomers retiring and having so much equity in their properties. A lot of cash purchases here on the Central Coast. A lot of people coming from the Bay Area or from LA and retiring here in San Luis Obispo County. So we're continuing to see upward pressure for home prices and demand, primarily because of that, and a lot of cash purchases, which is good if you don't have to get a loan. So we're seeing a lot of that here. As far as the interest rates, we are seeing a lot of buyers on the sidelines. So we're not seeing as much demand in that regard. So it is pushing demand down a little bit for home buyers out there. But really the serious home buyers are making offers and getting into contract and closing on the homes that they want here on the Central Coast. And overall, it's actually a good thing if you are a buyer looking during this time, as there's less competition. A lot of buyers have stepped to the sidelines, so you're not going to see 10, 15 offers like we maybe saw last year or the year before. But there is still some competition, so if it's a well-priced home in a great location, you're going to see a few offers if you are a buyer, so you still need to be competitive. And it's still overall a seller's market here when you look at the days on market and you look at the active inventory versus month supply. So that's kind of a little bit of preview of what we're seeing here on the Central Coast. But let's go ahead and pull up some of the data and let's see what the graphs and what the numbers are telling us. So active listings is an important one. I like to take a look at this one just to give us a broad range, give us an idea of what we're seeing out there. Active listings in August, now that we're in September, we've got the August numbers, 554 active listings. That's up from July, which was 502, but we're still down relatively speaking. If we take a look in August of 2020, there were 851 active listings. In August of 2019, there were 1,296. So low inventory, that's really what we're seeing here. Available options for buyers out there. So low inventory, still relatively high demand. We're still in a seller's market. So active listings, kind of a snapshot there of what we're seeing. So for new listings, what we're seeing here is for August, 281 new listings came on the market on the Central Coast, and in July, 275. September, we saw 339 of 2021. We're still, we need some more new homes to reach the market, but what we're seeing is that we're seeing a lot of that locked-in effect. And I talked about this in previous videos. The majority of home sellers have a rate that they've locked in when they're refinancing a couple years ago, under 4%, oftentimes 3.5%. So if you take a look at that, it's not encouraging a lot of home sellers to sell their property and move into a replacement property. Because let's say you live in Templeton and you want to move to Atascadero, maybe you want to move from a condo into maybe a single family home that has a little bit more land. You've got a growing family, so you're moving from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom, let's say. The equity has increased quite a bit in the condo maybe that you purchased 5 or 7 years ago. But that new single-family home with that new rate is going to be almost in some cases double what you're paying right now, in addition to the new property taxes. So it's difficult for some people to be moving into their new house or upgrading their living situation unless they have a lot of equity. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing that inventory relatively low. I anticipate more inventory reaching the market when we get a reduction in the in the interest rates. But again, we're going to see an increase of home buyers onto the market, right? Because a lot of them are sitting it out saying, hey, let's wait for the rates to decrease. I hear that a lot. So a lot of people that are waiting. Once interest rates decrease, we're going to see more inventory, and we're also going to see a lot more buyers out there. So I think that's going to actually push prices up even more than what we're seeing now. So just some things to be thinking about, and we're seeing this at a national level as well, locally here on the Central Coast. Days on market, I like to talk about this one real quick because this one gives us an indicator of what might be happening in the future, right? So days on market is a pretty good indicator of that and what we're seeing if we're moving into a seller's market or if we're in a buyer's market. So August days on market was 12, July was 10, and in May we saw 8 days on market. Now, the typical days on market here for the Central Coast is in the mid-20s, which is still relatively low for other parts of the nation just because we are such a high demand area and we have limited housing available. But it gives us a good indication that we're moving to a more natural, more healthy market when its days on market increases a little bit. It shows that we have more supply available. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about month supply. 2.8 for August, July 2.4. So we are seeing the month supply increase. We're still relatively low, but month supply is increasing. Again, another indicator that we are moving to a more normalized market, at least here on the Central Coast. So we have seen a slight decrease overall for the county in sales price, although it is still relatively strong, again, because there's so many out-of-town people moving here to the Central Coast, purchasing in cash, and they have a lot of equity to take with them. And San Luis Obispo is a great retirement area, obviously. So the climate's great, the weather is great here, a lot of fun activities to do. Great beaches, so a lot of retirees are moving here, so a lot of cash purchases. So we saw here for the sales price in August was $810,000, which was the median sales price, dipped down a little bit from $825,000 in July. Now, I anticipate that to be holding pretty steady, and I anticipate, although I don't have a crystal ball, but once we see those interest rates decrease a little bit, I anticipate that to go up, that median sales price to go up there with those lower interest rates, increasing the home buyer power. So like I mentioned, I'm out there working actively with home sellers and with home buyers and investors as well. And so my recommendations for home buyers is to understand what kind of a market we're in. We're still relatively in a seller's market, so you need to be aggressive and you need to be strong in your initial offer. We're seeing that a lot of the homes are selling for 100% of their original list price. So, unless a house has sat on the market for quite a while, don't anticipate being able to get a lower price than what is listed unless it's really drastically overpriced. And that's where I come in, because I can bring in the comps and show you what else has sold in the neighborhood and what would be a realistic offer price if a house has sat on the market for a little while. But if a house has been brought to the market and it's priced well, anticipate that there's going to be a few other offers on the table. So you really need to come in strong. And like I say, make sure you're pre-approved if you are getting a loan. Make sure you have those proof of funds that you're delivering to the seller to show that you do have the down payment. And then make sure that you do what you can to lower those contingency time frames, right? So that might be a loan time frame, that might be the appraisal time frame, which is relatively easy to do because a lot of the appraisers don't have as much work as maybe they had a few years ago with so many people refinancing and so much more transactions happening. So the appraisers can get things done quickly, the loan companies can get things done quickly. So that's one thing you can do to really strengthen up your offer if you are competing against a cash offer, to make that escrow time frame a bit shorter. Also, being flexible on your criteria and understanding that you may not get the perfect home your first purchase. You may have to do a little bit of updating, especially if it's your first home purchase. So adjust, make sure that criteria you can flex a little bit on that. That's my recommendation with buyers. And with that short days on market, we really need to get in there, view the house right away, and make a decision on placing an offer right away so that we were able to get in there quickly and it doesn't get an offer accepted and go pending. So that's my recommendation, really staying diligent on that. And that's one of the things I pride myself in my team, to being active and aware of what's out there as far as homes that are reaching the market in your area. And we can see a home, let's say you get off work at 6, we'll schedule the showing there at 6 if it's available, and we'll meet you there. So just make sure that you are ready to go and that you're active about viewing those homes. So on that note, kind of talking about home buyers out there, so let's go ahead and pull up this article here by CNBC. Mortgage rate demand drops to 27-year low as interest rates pull back. The average contract interest rate for 30-year fixed rate mortgages with conforming loan balances, $726,000 or less, decreased to 7.21% from 7.31%. And so what we're seeing here is that a lot of the interest in applying for a loan has decreased just with these high interest rates. But I anticipate with a couple percentage drop, if we do see that into the high 5s or the low 6s, a lot of home buyers, like I said, who've been on the sidelines are going to step back in. So for sellers out there, what are my recommendations? Well, I recommend that you really understand your situation, understand your timeline, understand your motivations, right? That's something that we worked through during our listing appointment, listing consultation. And just make sure that you present your house properly to the market. Especially if you are needing to find a replacement property, you want to make sure that you have your sale house. You say you're selling in Templeton, you're moving to San Luis Obispo or vice versa. You have your Templeton property ready to go. We're prepared so that when we do find that replacement property, we'll make an offer if it's a contingent offer, and we'll be ready to go. So you want to make sure that you're well prepared, and ideally you would get that property pending, the one that you're selling, as we go shopping for a home. For sellers, I really suggest being realistic as far as a time frame. You're still in the driver's seat now, so you can still negotiate, seller to remain in possession. You can negotiate great terms for yourself, and that's part of our team. That's our job to do. But really make sure that you know what you want, what your goals are, and the appropriate timelines. But great time to sell. Just a little tricky to find a replacement house if that is your goal. So maybe finding a rental for a short time while you look for a replacement property might be a good recommendation. Or what we've been finding as well is that we're able to negotiate a rent back period, so that you're able to have that cash in hand as you go looking for a replacement property, so you're not a contingent buyer. So some recommendations for us. What do I anticipate here in the next few months and into 2024? Well, I don't anticipate the mortgage rates decreasing anytime soon. I think they're going to hold steady in the 7s to high 6s for the foreseeable future. But we are seeing an election year coming up in 2024, and the incumbent, one of the strengths that they have is reducing the interest rates. When the interest rates reduce, we're going to see new buyers come in. We're going to see prices increase. So if you are a buyer out there looking to buy, just keep that in mind, that when the interest rates do decrease, it's going to increase a lot more competition for you, a lot more buyers jostling for the same property. So something to keep in mind. I really encourage people, if you are looking out there to purchase here on the Central Coast a fabulous home, just make sure that you're well approved and that you negotiate for the house that you're looking for. If you'd like to sit down with us and discuss your home buying or home selling needs, we'd be happy to set up a consultation with you. And I'll go ahead and do future videos here, so we focus on each individual city so that you're better informed here for the housing update here on the Central Coast. Again, we'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. Share this video with somebody who you think it might benefit, and feel free to reach out to us here below if you'd like to set up that consultation. Hope you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.